Let's discuss the suit of scepters or suit of wands from the Spirit Keeper's Tarot. In some of the Marseille decks, this suit was referred to as the scepters. A scepter is an ornamental wand that is the royal insignia of a ruling sovereign. Fire is the first of the four worlds created, and it is in this world that you will find your Lance of Destiny, one of the four sacred relics encoded into this deck. Your scepter is what you hold ruling authority over, the insignia of your full creative potential, what will and what can become your crowning glory. When these spirits talk to you predominantly through these scepters, the focus right now ought to be on achieving the pinnacle of success for yourself and cultivating greater personal productivity. The scepters are facets and manifestations of the element fire, and your cultivation of resonance with this suit in the deck strengthens your astral body. The element fire, and thus this suit, is also connected distantly to all the kings in tarot, or the four archangels. At the intersection of astrology and the major arcana primordial realm, scepters, through the common elemental denominator of fire, echoes of key 4, the emperor, through the cardinal sign Aries, key 8, the force, through the fixed sign Leo, and key 14, the angel, through the mutable sign Sagittarius. Of the four main ingredients in the holy anointing oil used to anoint your deck, fire corresponds with Ceylon cinnamon, and the herb for angelic connection to the fire provinces is angelica root, which is what's pictured over on the left in the stronghold of the flame, or page of wands. The ace is the primordial seed. This is the element of fire still in thought form. It then self-creates the binary, which is the awakening of the discerning one, which then co-creates the three. The sacred fire pictured on the ace is sent into the greater void, and that center orb at the intersection of the diamond vajra, or twin-crossed thunderbolts, symbolizes the power of material creation and destruction, of building worlds and destroying them. Sacred fire meets the great void, then lights up the temple fire on earth. And here in the Three of Scepters, you see priests performing the fire rites recorded in ancient Zoroastrianism. Sacred fire, sent down to earth and then burns brightly here, begets the demiurge, the Four of Scepters. This is the first touchdown point of physical creation. The metaphor here is the divine creator who creates the temporal creator, who then creates the physical world. Then from there, we watch the progression of fire interact with various numerological realms, and what the end fate is of sacred fire produced in this material world. Our glory and our great work is also our burden. Now let's return to the Ace of Scepters. By the way, the ruling angel here is Metatron. This is the flame that produces all things. And here I found inspiration from the Chaldean oracles of Zoroaster. This is the realization of your strengths, where your glory lies, and this is the mark of the spring equinox in your life path, in any seasonal cycle, literal or figurative. In the Two of Scepters, the double vajra in the center symbolizes the divine powers of creation and destruction, but here it manifests on earth, our physical world, and it appears between the two scepters to symbolize that it's a power we ourselves wield, with that left hand grasping one of these scepters, representing a first-person narrative. Here you are staring straight at the powers you are capable of wielding. The protection cross above the double vajra with the letters YHVH inscribed to the forearms, along with the four alchemical glyphs for sulfur, water, mercury, and salt, is your magical seal for achieving dominion. It's also a talisman of protection to safeguard you when you venture out beyond your comfort zone and go in pursuit of your dreams. The Three of Scepters features three magi, three wise men who are Zoroastrian priests in ritual. This key is captioned the politic to indicate the high skill of negotiating oppositional forces, of knowing how to be clever and prudent, how to wield power, control, and diplomacy within any system or structure. After I finished drawing key 21, the world card, and then redrew the fool card because I didn't like my first draft. The very first card from the minors that I drew was the demiurge, the four of scepters. Get it? Creator who creates the creator who creates a world. In an earlier video on the majors, we talked about divine will and free will as expressed in key 10, the Wheel of Fortune card. Note the wheel of life and how it is being mimicked here in the physical world in material form. Oh, and for reference, if you're not familiar with the Thoth deck, here's key 10 Fortune and here's the Four of Wands. The popular meaning for the Four of Wands card hasn't changed here. I haven't altered any of that space for interpretation. Harvest, prosperity, peace in the domestic sphere, work-life balance, even a rite of passage. Instead, I wanted to illustrate the spiritual and philosophical depth of those interpretations. Oh, one more point. See the four scepters used to construct the physical wheel, especially the center spheres? They're from the four spheres in key 10, the Wheel of Life. After I wrap up the Vitruvian edition of this deck, I'm on to another creative project, and I've illustrated what that project is here in the Four of Scepters for so many reasons, and one of those reasons is this tarot deck is featured in that project. The Five of Scepters is the contender. This is competition, rivalry, and the human tendency to feel like life is a zero-sum game. You see the fists for fighting, but they're also playing Rochambeau or rock, paper, scissors, suggesting the belief that there must be a winner and there must be a loser. The pointing fingers symbolize blame, how when we experience strife, we always blame others, blame something for pain. It's never our own doing. The two Kundalini serpents here are separated and apart, in stark contrast to their union back in key 1, the Magus. The background of the cards are pentagons. Fun fact, in the United States, the Pentagon building is a symbol of our military power, and it was designed by the architect George Bergstrom, who, by the way, was a Freemason. Construction first began on September 11, 1941. Funny enough, exactly 60 years prior to 9/11. Interesting, huh? Another fun fact, at this exact moment of me recording the video, it's 9:11 a.m. Finally, that center vertical scepter symbolizes the notion of drawing the shortest straw. Okay, moving on to the Six of Scepters. In case you were curious, that ball in the bottom right corner by the footsteps of the champion harkens back to key 6, the Lover's card. You see the hand holding the shortest scepter in the Five of Scepters, bottom center? That hand belongs to this woman here in the Six of Scepters, the champion. She's the victor. Oh, and the number 6, 1 plus 5 is 6, 1, 5, key 15, the demon. Serpent motif again. Are things clicking into place in your head? I think the most notable feature about my rendition of the Six of Wands card here is how the scepter with the victory wreath is pierced into the woman's leg and she's bleeding. But if you look at the expression on her face, she doesn't seem the least bit fazed by pain. In my experience, and so in my worldview, you don't get to achieve the Six of Wands level of success in your life unless you've sacrificed so much of yourself for that success. And if you're not capable of taking that pain the way this woman is, then you probably are not capable of achieving this level of success. It's just one of those tough kernels of truth that I feel like we never want to reveal about success. The Seven of Scepters has to be among my favorites. This is the spirit of the underdog, and although there is a fight or flight aspect to the Tarot Seven of Wands, I've tweaked it a bit here to illustrate my point of view, and that's no, there is no choice between fight or flight. There is only fight. This particular series from the Suit of Scepters, the Contender, the Champion, and the Dark Horse, are all about having to fight your way through. This is not the king who rules by birthright. This is the king who rules by struggling and exercising strength every step up to the top. The Eight of Wands here is a warrior willing to challenge heaven. When the sharpshooter appears in a reading spread of multiple cards, check to see what she's aiming and shooting at. In the consecutive keys of the suit, the next card is the Nine of Scepters, where the sharpshooter is aiming and shooting at the waning moon. Now, when I was drawing these cards, I drew all the eights together. So after the Eight of Scepters, I drew the Eight of Chalices. And again, the aiming and shooting at a waning moon. Fun, huh? But more precisely, here the sharpshooter is aiming at the bird in the night sky. And what I was thinking of here is expressing the challenge of established knowledge. This is someone willing to challenge any mandate of heaven. The Ten of Scepters presents an interesting question. Are the two hands of God reaching down to help you with the burden you carry, or have the hands of God given you the burden that you carry? Because this is a trial to test your strength and conviction. Here are the remastered versions of the cards in the Vitruvian edition. Oh, by the way, the figure in the Nine of Scepters, the Malaise, does she look familiar? Maybe this will jog your memory? The archer on the right? Let's zoom in. The archer from the Demiurge is the same figure pictured here in the Malaise, and there's that recurring motif of the archer from the sharpshooter aiming at the Malaise. I really did have a lot of fun drawing these cards, didn't I? Oh, and yeah, once again, this series of cards and the imagery here relate directly to my next project. In my deck, the minor arcana is subdivided into two realms. First, the upper realm, which consists of 7 provinces, the aces, twos, and threes, and also the court cards, total 7 realms or 7 portals within the suit. Then there's the lower realm, also 7 provinces, and that's the 4s through 10s. But let's hold off on the world geography of the deck for now. We've got 3 more suits to get through. So to summarize the Suit of Scepters, in the Ace of Scepters, I wanted to express the mandate of heaven, which is a concept you find across many civilizations, this idea that the king has a divine authority to rule. Alongside that concept, a king also has a moral obligation to use power in a way that services a greater good for the nation. Now, instead of talking governments, let's talk personal dominion. That's what the Suit of Scepters is all about. What has divinity authorized you to rule over? What area of life? What are your creative strengths? And how can you use those divinely given gifts or talents in a way that services a greater good? And because there is a moral obligation associated with your divine gifts, what is the burden you carry? That 10 of Scepters. In what ways are you the burdened one? I hope these are the beneficent spirits, the keys that unlock for you your greatest strengths, to help you achieve the highest level of skill imaginable, and to use those strengths and skills to service a greater good.